the few that brave it for the summer. It's the few of us tonight. Now let's all stand. Let's stand. When you pray tonight, would you remember Tevin? Is it Tevin Roberts? Is that his last name? He has been in an RMC all week. He hurt his knee and he's got some kind of infection going on. And they were going to send him to children. I'm not sure they're going to do that now. But we need to pray for him. Also continue to pray for Kim Montgomery's dad. I think nothing much has changed. Is he kind of doing the same? You know nothing? Yeah, it's been kind of limited exposure anyway. But pray for him and pray for that family as well. So a lot going on though, but just remember them all in prayer when you spend some time tonight. Pray for Kedra and Pat as well there in is it Illinois? Yeah, working on a church. So remember them as well. So let's pray. God, we love you. God, we thank you for this night. God, look forward to what you got for us, Lord. Look forward to being together, God, and just worshiping you, God, and just, Lord, just hearing from heaven tonight, God. I pray, Lord, you would just be with us and you be on us, God, as we worship you, God. God, we would just take time, God, to acknowledge that you're in the room, Lord. And Lord, that as we study the book of Acts tonight, God, Lord, that we would just see a little bit of heaven, God. So I thank you for this moment, God. I thank you for this time together. Be with Kim Montgomery's dad, Lord. Just touch him and heal him and bring him out of bed, Lord. And be with Tim. Just heal his body. Every bit of sickness that's there, just bring it out, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen.
The King of Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy. love endured that ancient cross. How precious is my Savior's blood. The beauty of heaven wrapped in my shame. The image of love upon display. If having my heart was worth the pain, what joy could you see beyond the grave? If love found my soul worth dying for, how wonderful
to scare you. They're still trying to scare you with food, don't they? Ever since I was a kid, first was cholesterol. Stay away from the cholesterol. No cholesterol. Now what is it? Trans fats. Trans fats. Keep the children away. There's a trans fat in the building. And the thing is, we don't even know what's good or bad for us, do we? We don't. We're gonna get up to heaven, they'll be like, dude, you should have been eating the trans fats. These things are awesome. They cure everything. Trans fats and boogers. You should have been eating all that stuff. Seriously. Trans fats and boogers. Get a clue. They're right in a nice little holder by your mouth, you moron. They say going green. That's the green you should have been going. You've been flicking away healing for years, man. That's the thing. We just don't know, do we? And the thing, all the things they try to scare us with when we're kids, it never, we're here. We're fine. You know, I ate a lot of trans fats, I listened to a lot of rock and roll, I watched a lot of TV, I'm doing just fine. I never waited 30 minutes after eating to go swimming. I never did. I never wore a helmet to go skateboarding. I never tripped on a shoelace. You know? I run with scissors in my hands and suckers in my mouth. I have sniffed a lot of magic markers, people. Did you know that? I didn't take the candy from strangers. It was delicious. Delicious. Except for the brown taffy. Delicious. And I'm still here. We're here. We made it. We survived. Look, I'll give you a couple examples of how I survived my childhood. There's no way I should have, but I did. We did for years. We had this in my neighborhood every once a month. This truck would drive up and down our street. It was called the bug truck. And it would shoot white poisonous fog out the back of it. And we used to run through it barefoot, y'all. It's like we're at a Judas Priest concert, yeah? And you think my mom would warn us? No, she told us, yeah, the bug truck's coming, get out there! The bug truck over! You're kind of groggy, Mommy. You're lightheaded. Go run, have fun. We survived the bug truck. Here's another example. When I was a kid at our public pool, we had a Coke machine there for years. A Coke machine plugged into the wall, standing in 3 inches of water. No one got uptight about it. Nobody got sued. You're just real careful when you got a Coke. You touch that quarter of metal. When I was 10, I thought it was fun, dude. Get a Coke. It's awesome. I can't feel a thing in my right side. It's like a game. Total game.
Any of you relate to that? You do things when you're a kid that's what kids do? I think that's definitely true. I don't know, I think we get softer as we get older or something. I did a lot of things that I would never let Elijah do, that I was perfectly allowed to do. Maybe that was my parents, I don't know. We'll blame them, since we don't want to blame ourselves. Acts chapter 22. What has happened at this point? How did he give you a summation of what's going on? What has happened is Paul has left the mission field. He's headed back to Jerusalem. Everybody is telling him to not to come back. Don't come back to Jerusalem. Don't go back. Don't go back. Don't go back. Everyone is telling Paul, if you go back, you will die. Everyone is telling Paul that. And not just is it everyone telling Paul that, but everyone that's telling Paul that is saying the Holy Spirit told me to tell you that if you go back, you're going to die. And Paul says, well, you know what, maybe it's just my time, I'm going back. Because I'm ready to finish the race, and I'm ready to be done. And so what does he do? He leaves Ephesus, and he's going back along the way. And literally, more people are telling him that. And he gets to Jerusalem. And he's not at Jerusalem very long at all before he is cornered. And he's accused of bringing a Gentile into the temple. This was all last week. So he's accused of bringing a Gentile into the temple, which he did not even do. And then all of a sudden there is a riot of people, and they're all trying to kill him. And then a Roman soldier yanks him out from amidst the crowd and says, "Tell me who you are." He accuses him of being somebody totally different who he wasn't, an Egyptian who had led a riot on Calvary's hill. He accuses him of being that person. He says, "Hey, that's not even me. For once, I'm not guilty of what you're saying." And then, after that, he says, "I want to address the crowd. Let me tell my own story." And that's where we pick up tonight. In chapter 22, Paul is addressing the crowd in Jerusalem. And it says at the end of the previous chapter, Paul's audience for this sermon had just tried to kill him, thinking that he had profaned the temple by sneaking in a Gentile and passed the court of the Gentiles. However, once the crowd knew that Paul was in Roman protection, and once Paul began to address them in Hebrew or Aramaic, they became quiet and ready to listen to him. So Paul, what you got to understand is Paul was born in Troas. Is that right? That's right. Tarsus. There we go. Troas was the place he was at last time. I knew when I said it, I was like, that's not right. Thank you. Paul was born in Tarsus. If you look down my notes a little further, it will say that. If you had the YouVersion Bible app, you can follow the notes there. There's a bunch of them, right? So he was born in Tarsus, and he is, however, though, he is a Roman citizen. He was born in Tarsus, but he grew up in Jerusalem under Gamaliel, who was actually a Jewish kind of priest or leader there. And Paul was under him, and he is highly respected. And you'll see that his name, Gamaliel, or however you say it, is mentioned here in Acts chapter 22. And so it's pretty cool the way that it works out. And so Paul just tells them, "Hey, you're about to kill me. You can't hold me like this. You can't handle me like this." Why? Because I'm a Roman citizen. In other words, you don't have the right to touch me. And that's kind of where Paul goes from here. Like I said, ultimately, that alone, Paul appealing as a Roman citizen, does cost Paul his life in the long run, because he does travel back to Rome, and once he's there, he dies. But and truthfully, had he not appealed to Caesar, he would either die here or he would have been set free. And so the chances are he would have been set free. But it was all part of a greater plan. All right, Acts chapter 22, starting with verse 1. "Brethren and fathers, hear my defense before you now." So imagine, he's standing upon these steps, and he's addressing all these people in Jerusalem. And he's taken this time to stand before them. And this is what he says. He addresses them, number one, in Aramaic, which is the Hebrew language. In other words, guys, if you want to know I'm a Jew, I'm fixing to talk to you in the Jewish language. I'm going to use this because I'm trying to tell you that I am just like you are. In other words, if you want to be like somebody, be like me, because I'm like you. And when they heard that he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, they kept all the more silent. Then he said, "I am indeed a Jew born in Tarsus of Cilicia, but brought up in the city at the feet of Gamaliel, taught according to the strictness of our father's law, and was zealous toward God as you all are today." You know, I mean, Paul is the most zealous of Jews. That's why he was killing Christians, because the Jews did not agree with what was going on. And that's when, we look at it and we're like, "Oh, he's just killing people." No, he really thought he was doing the right thing. It's funny, even when he was doing wrong, he did it with all of his might. I have friends like that. I had a friend who was a great leader, even when he was leading people to do the wrong thing. He was like, "Follow me, guys," and everybody just jumped in line, and he just can go battle off a bridge or something. I mean, it was literally like that. And he's gifted now, and he's a great teacher, he's a great leader, he's a great preacher. But man, when he was wrong, he could lead you down the wrong path just as good as anybody, happily. You just follow him by him. "Hey, we're going to do something. Let's go do that." Okay. And then Paul is kind of the same way. He's so zealous to do things. He's so zealous for trying to do what he feels like is right. When he makes up his mind to go somewhere, he goes at it with everything that he has. And he says, "Listen, I was taught by the best of the best. I was taught in the strictness of our father's law, and was zealous toward God as you all are today." Had Jesus earthly great had Jesus not come. Because all they knew was being Jews. And he would have been the best Jew of all the Jews. It's kind of like being the best religious person of all religions, but not being a Christian, not loving Jesus. All right, so verse 4, I persecuted this way to the death. Remember, the way is the name of the Christian movement. Binding and delivering into prisons both men and women, as also the high priest bears me witness, and all the council of the elders, from whom I also received letters to the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring in chains even those who were there to Jerusalem to be punished. Now it happened as I journeyed and came near Damascus at about noon, suddenly a great light shone over me. Before we go any further there, he's saying, I was so zealous for what I was trying to do, for what I felt like was God, that I left and went all the way to Damascus to capture these people of the way. I went way out of my way to capture them. And so he says, I went all the way there. So first of all, when he says, brethren and fathers, Paul began his great defense before the Jews the same way Stephen did. Men and brethren and fathers, listen. And then second of all, he said, I'm indeed a Jew. So Paul is speaking as a Jew unto the Jews. He is careful to lay the common ground between them. Born in Tarsus of Cilicia, but brought up in the city at the feet of Gamaliel, Paul noticed that though he was born, like we talked about, outside of the promised land, he was brought up in Jerusalem at the feet of one of the most prestigious rabbis of the day. And Paul still served the God of his fathers. He had not rejected Judaism. Judaism had rejected God in Jesus Christ. And he was zealous toward God, as all of them were that day. Because all of them were trying to kill him because they felt like it was the right thing. It's easy to get that confused. He says, he's trying to appeal to them, saying, I'm just like you. I'm zealous like you. I'm just like you in every aspect. I was zealous, you're zealous, but I'm telling you that you've rejected God and you rejected Jesus Christ. That is the difference between us. That's the only difference between you and I. That's kind of what he's getting at. All right, starting at verse 6. Now it happened as I journeyed and came near Damascus at about noon, suddenly a great light from heaven shone around me. And I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? So I answered, Who are you, Lord? And he said to me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. And those who were with me indeed saw the light and were afraid, but they did not hear the voice of him who spoke to me. So I said, What shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said to me, Arise and go into Damascus, and there you will be told all the things which you are appointed to do. And since I could not see for the glory of that light, being led by the hand of those who were with me, I came to Damascus. Paul was determined persecutor of Christians in Jesus until the light shone on him. It's as if Paul was saying, I was just like you until I had an encounter with Jesus. Isn't that true? I mean, what's sad is sometimes we do have an encounter with Jesus, and then when we look back at ourselves, we're still just like everybody else. It's like it doesn't really change us. But Paul said, up to the point that I had an encounter with Jesus, I was just like you. Why do you think it was so hard for the Jews to buy into Jesus? What do you think? think there was a misconception that they thought that he was going to free them from the government. And then, just like all things, when somebody doesn't work the way that you expect them to, you discredit them. Okay, if you're not going to do it my way, then there's no way you know what you're talking about. I mean, I think that's exactly what Jesus did. He didn't come the way they expected, so they discredited it all. He can't be the Messiah because he didn't do this, and this. What's interesting too, think about some of the miracles that Jesus did. One of them, the man with the shriveled hand. You have a man who has a physical deformity. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen somebody before who had just a complete physical deformity, something that ain't going to get better. Maybe he was born with it. Maybe he heard it somewhere. Maybe it was mangled. Maybe he didn't have all of his fingers. I don't know. But I know it says he had a shriveled hand, and there's no part of that sounds good. I have no idea. Maybe he was crippled with arthritis. I don't know what they consider shriveled, but all I can imagine is this raisin-looking hand, and that's what he had. And Jesus looks at him and just says, stretch it out. And when he stretches it out, it's completely made whole. There's priests there, and I believe it's in Mark chapter 3. There's priests there. Everybody's in the temple. It's crowded. They've seen this man before. I taught a lesson. I won't say I preached because I wasn't preaching at the time. But I taught a lesson one time about the church and said that, there's all these people, and they're standing in what was the church, and they're looking to find fault with Jesus. They're not there for the right reasons. There's nobody there tending to the man with the shriveled hand's needs. They're there looking to find fault with somebody else. And how we get caught up in the common routine of church and forget that there's people there with real needs. And so that's what happens is they're just so caught up because they wanted to find a reason to kill Jesus. It says that they looked for a way to find him. And then that when he healed the man with the shriveled hand, that it says they left to discuss how they might kill Jesus. And so this was quite contrary. They had seen the miracles. They had seen the proof, but didn't want any of it. They had made up in their mind that wasn't the way they were going to go. Now, Paul, he's had this experience with Jesus. And evidently, you got to think about it. What kind of experience would you have to have right now in your life that would completely alter the course of what you're doing every day? One of those kind of experiences that you walk away from and you have no choice to go back to being exactly like you were before. I'm telling you, there were people on 9/11 who experienced horrible, terrible, awful things at the feet of the World Trade Center. And I have no doubt that they've not been the same since then. It was that kind of dramatic event. I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures of the people jumping out of the windows because the building was on fire and falling man and all these different things, but it was quite the experience. And I remember watching, I was in my dorm room near Jackson, Mississippi, watching this thing unfold and watching it roll out. And I remember it just like it was yesterday because it was such a powerful event. Freshman in college at the time. And I remember just going, wow. So what kind of impact would it have to happen to you so that it literally changed, altered your way of life, your job, everything? Something that comes in and you go, man, I can't even go work. I got to do something different. It's on me. And that's what happens to Paul. Paul is the company man. He is as hardcore Jewish leader as there can be. He is the Pharisee of Pharisees. And this one event that he meets Jesus and that he's blinded, he cannot shake. And it literally forms the rest of his life. It literally lays the path out before him. To the point where he said, I know when I go from city to city, the Holy Spirit has revealed to me that I'm going to be punished, that I'm going to be beaten, that I'm going to be mistreated, that they're going to stone me. I know that when I go. The Holy Spirit tells me that's going to happen, but it tells me to go anyway, basically. And it was that one event altered everything for Paul. All right, let's look on. Verse 12. Then a certain Ananias, a devout man according to the law, having a good testimony with all the Jews who dwelt there, came to me and he stood and said to me, Brother Saul, receive your sight. And at that same hour I looked up at him. Remember,
great hardship because of this encounter with Jesus. Then it says that no one will know just how difficult it will be for Paul. You know, you would think that if God called you to do something, it would be good. Like, you know, this is good. I like this. This feels good. But that's not at all what Paul's life shows us. It's that Jesus sometimes calls us to do the difficult things, to endure hardship. I was talking to a guy today, and he's been going through a situation with adoption. And he had 2 kids, and he was trying to adopt them, and they were brother and sister, and it just didn't work out. The girls, it's bad. I've watched this thing unfold for about a year and a half now, and it's just been bad. One thing after another, bad, difficulty. Young guy too, and he's trying to take on this big responsibility, you know, like 10 and 11-year-old kids. And it's just been bad. And finally, you know, one of them ends up, has to leave. And then he ends up finding out that he's going to get to adopt the other one. And he's super excited to get to adopt this boy. And I thought to myself, man, you have been through some stuff. And he told me, he said, I haven't really been to church during the last several months, but maybe 2 times. And he said, it's because I have so many questions about all this unfolded. And I thought, man, God has big enough for your questions. It's okay. And number 2, what an awesome story you're going to have to tell now about how God brought you through it. Not that you didn't endure it, but that you did endure it and lived. Think how many times Paul endures hardship and lives. That was just another testimony that he could tell as he went down the road. So when you go through terrible, awful, horrible things that you can't imagine, and you scratch your head and you go, why did I survive this? It's to tell that story to somebody else so that they can be encouraged when it comes upon them. I mean, like today, we were hearing one news after another, crazy stuff that's happening. It was like one thing happened, this thing happened, this thing happened, this thing happened. Last week, our neighbor died down the road, and it's sad to find out what happened to him, low blood sugar. He lived by himself, and by the time they got to him, they couldn't do anything for him. And it's super sad stuff. And then his daughter-in-law dies of cancer today, you know. And then his grandson, it was in a car wreck on our road a couple years ago, has a brain injury. And it's like all these things, I go, man, how much more can people handle? But we live through these hard times to testify of the good things that God is going to do through us. And that's what's happened here with Paul. He's going to endure hardship. He's going to do it with a purpose. And verse 16, and now why are you waiting? Arise and be baptized and wash away your sins, calling on the name of the Lord. Paul is just telling the story. And he said, now it happened when I returned to Jerusalem and was praying in the temple that I was in a trance. And saw him saying to me, make haste and get out of Jerusalem quickly, for they will not receive your testimony concerning me. So at the very beginning, Paul was ran out of Jerusalem because they just cannot handle what he has to say. And I've talked about this before, but religion is that barrier that makes it difficult for people to accept Christ. The Jews had a lot of religion, and so it was difficult. With the Gentiles, they didn't have that, so they were easily persuaded to be Christians. Verse 19, so I said, Lord, they know that in every synagogue I imprisoned and beat those who believe in you. And when the blood of your martyr Stephen was shed, I was standing by, consenting to his death, and guarding the clothes of those who were killing him. And then he said to me, depart, for I will send you far from here to the Gentiles. So it's interesting, too, that for God to reach the Gentiles, he uses a Jew. Like a really devout Jew. You know, it would make more sense to me, like Peter really ended up going to and witnessing about Jesus, mostly the Jews, and calling to the Gentiles. And you would think it would make more sense to send Peter. Here's somebody who's a fisherman, who's the common man, who's an everyday man's man. You know, your typical rough character, putting his foot in his mouth for the kingdom. You know, always saying the wrong thing, kind of rubbing people the wrong way. You think that's who God would send to the Gentiles, but no, he doesn't. He takes the most religious guy he can find. He takes Paul, who knows, who is the Jew of all Jews, and he says, go, you're going to reach the Gentiles. That's going to be your main people. It's just peculiar to me the way that God works. That's what makes me think all the time when people say, oh, you're never going to go do this, or you're never Chris Tomlin, in one of his books, he told him, he had a college professor who taught him, he said, you'll never be a singer. He said, you need to find another profession. And he said, every now and then I sing on CD. You know, just one person after the next. You know, Israel Hawthorne, she's kind of went way off the deep end now. He's kind of cheated on his wife and all that, but he led worship for Joel Osteen's church for a long time. He wrote a lot of wonderful songs, and he's very talented and gifted. But his mother almost aborted him. And she got saved, and she named him Israel. It's pretty amazing. And I pray that he gets himself together, because I was really a big fan of his. So we're talking about, so Paul's kind of giving his testimony. He's going through this, but Ananias, a devout man according to the law. Remember, we were talking about him a minute ago. It says, Paul noticed that it was Ananias, a man with credentials as good as a good Jew, who received him into the Christian family. In other words, you guys know Ananias. He's the one who told me to come in. And then he says, the God of our fathers has chosen that you should know his will. In Paul's speech, we see that both he and Ananias are both simply acting like good Jews. They're not resisting God or denying their heritage. And then in Acts 22, if we go back to 14, point out a few of these things. It says, it's a wonderful capsule of the duty of everyone before God, and that's to know his will, to see the just one, Jesus, and to hear the voice of his mouth, or to hear God's word. All right, so we move forward. Verse 19. And so I said, Lord, they know that in every synagogue I imprisoned and beat those who believe in you. I was holding the clothes for them when Stephen was stoned. And then you said, depart from me, go out and reach the Gentiles. Now, this is where Paul talks about his Roman citizenship. He says, and they listened to him until this word, and then they raised their voices and said, away with such a fellow from the earth, for he is not fit to live. So they were good with it. They liked everything he said until he said Jesus told him to go out and reach the Gentiles. They are not a big fan of him doing anything with the Gentiles. I think he needs to recognize that as what we would call the trigger word. Everybody has their trigger, right? There's things that you don't say. Evidently, Gentile is not the thing you say in the midst of a bunch of Jews. Because every time he says that, they go and they try to kill him. And it says, you're not even fit to live. And then as they cried out and tore off their clothes and they threw dust up in the air, the commander ordered him to be brought back into the barracks and said that he should be examined under scourging so that he might know why they shouted so against him. In other words, we're going to beat you until you confess to whatever it is that they're wanting to kill you for. And so with that, they bound him. I think it's weird for me to read this word, I'm sorry. They bound him with thongs. Paul said to the centurion who stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man who is a Roman and uncondemned? In other words, you don't even have anything to charge me with. I'm a Roman citizen and you have no right to bound me. And basically what they had done, imagine a pole that's in the ground and your arms are tied around it like this so you can't do anything, and they commence to whipping you and beating you or whatever they have. And until you confess to probably either what you've done or what you made up, so don't quit beating you. And I'm sure that probably happened. Whatever it is, I did it. Just don't hit me again. And so they do that. And it says Paul had his audience, all up until this point, in their minds, they didn't mind all the talk about Jesus, but they could not stand the idea that God may save Jews and Gentiles alike and in the same way. Can you imagine being part of such a religion where you say, man, I'm not going to go over there with that dog? I look a lot. You're not a Jew, you're a dog. You're garbage. And imagine that. That was what they said. It would just turn their stomach at the thought that someone else, other than the Jews, could be saved. Because what? The Jews were God's people. And it built them up, and they had this air about them, this arrogance. And these Jews of that day did not have a problem with the Gentiles becoming Jews, but they were incredibly offended at the thought of Gentiles becoming Christians, just as Jews became Christians, because it implied that Jews and Gentiles were equal, having to come to God on the same terms. that's causing the separation right now, is the thought that they could be treated the same. Likewise, many people today are offended that good people must be saved the same way sinners are. They want a gospel that will keep them separate from the riffraff of society. It's like the person who lives like the devil, who does drug after drug, who commits all kind of crimes, who ends up on death row in prison, and right before they're carried to the electric chair or the gas chamber or lethal injection, they accept Christ, and they go on into heaven just like you and I did. And some people have a really hard time with that. Let me tell you, this is the thing about sin. And we in our mind, it is different. But in God's mind, it's not. And this is why it's not. I had this revelation recently, is that any sin that you do is an act of rebellion against God. And any act of rebellion against God deserves death. Any sin. You may have different consequences on this earth, but in the eyes of God, it is a complete rebellion against a holy God. When you know it's wrong, but do it anyway. The only way you can feel better about your sin is to try to say, well, his is worse than mine. But the reality is, when you make a conscious decision to do what you want and not to do what God wants, it is an act of full-on, I can be God, I don't need a God. And when you do that, rebellion deserves death. And that's how I say they're no different than I am. They may have more of it, they may be eat up with demons, they may have all kind of problems. But rebellion against God is rebellion against God. And so, the commander orders him to be brought, like we said, to the barracks. And it must have been a strange sight for the Roman commander. He saw Paul passionately address this huge crowd in a language he didn't know. And he saw the crowd, suddenly they erupt into a riot. So he doesn't even know what he said. You got to understand that the Roman guard doesn't speak Aramaic, so he has no idea what Paul's even saying to the crowd. And then all of a sudden it breaks loose. And so he examines him under scourging. He says, tell me what you're saying to them. Tell me what's been said so that I know what you're doing. And like I said, examining under scourging may seem brutal, but it was kind of a customary thing at the time, but only upon people who were not Roman citizens. So when Paul got bound, he said, you don't have the right to do this to me. And for one time, instead of Paul just taking the beating, he says, no, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm a Roman citizen. You can do this the right way, or I will kill Caesar. All right, so he says, and as they bound him, he said, it's not lawful. And in verse 26, when the centurion heard that, he went and told the commander, saying, take care of what you do, for this man is a Roman. Then the commander came in and said to him, tell me, are you a Roman? Paul says, yes. And the commander answered, with a large sum I obtained the citizenship. And Paul said that I was born a citizen. So you could pay to be a citizen of Rome, but it cost you a lot. And Paul said, well, I was born one. Then immediately those who were about to examine him withdrew from him, and the commander was also afraid after he found out that he was a Roman, because he had doubted. That's how you lose your head. Doing things to Roman citizens that is illegal. And I'm sure that he thought that it was going to cost him his life. All right, so the Sanhedrin divided. The next day, because he wanted to know for certain why he was accused by the Jews, he released him from his bonds and commanded the chief priests and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down and set before them. That's the end of 22. Is that the last verse of 22?
One more.
One more? What's the last one say, Chris?
It doesn't show me, but it shows it one more slide.
Oh, yeah, that's not, I don't think I had, I think 30 is the last one. Does anybody have anything? 30 is the last one. It just kind of abruptly ends, and that's why I wanted to make sure I had that first. So now he is before the Sanhedrin. He has been brought down, now that he's admitted that he's a Roman citizen, he's being brought down, and he is being shown to the Sanhedrin to find out just exactly what is going on and what's going to be done to him. He's been released, and now he comes down. It says he wanted to know for certain why he was accused. All in all, the Roman commander seems to be a fair and upstanding man. Though he is not acquainted with the dispute between Paul and the Jews, he seems to desire a just resolution. And so now Paul will get what he believes is a dramatic second chance. The opportunity to preach to them on the Temple Mount ended in another rite, but he will get to speak before the Sanhedrin, or their council, the next day. The Sanhedrin was the Jewish Congress, and Paul had the opportunity to speak before the same group that he was once a member of. Isn't that interesting? Acts 26:10 clearly says that Paul had a vote. Usually that would be used as a member of the Sanhedrin. So Paul now has the opportunity to speak before this distinguished group of men, and undoubtedly he is assured in his heart that this is his opportunity of a lifetime to preach to those he loves so much and knows so well, who knew how God might use it. And Paul didn't know. God had revealed a plan to Paul right at his conversion. He is a chosen vessel of mine to bear my name before the Gentiles, kings, and the children of Israel. For I will show him how many things he must suffer for my name's sake. Remember, that's what we're talking about earlier. And Paul knew the general plan, but just like us, he didn't know how it would all work out. And he had to trust God, just like you and I have to do. All right, I want you to think about this. There are some things in life, if you're going to accomplish, you're going to have to go through a way that you're not going to be comfortable to get there. The only way for Paul to address the Sanhedrin, the only way he was going to get to go in there was in shackles. So in order to reach the people that he used to be a part of, he would have to be in prison first. That was his only ticket in. Now that messes with our mind in American Christianity because we don't like the idea of difficulty in order to accomplish purpose. Difficulty in order to accomplish purpose. In other words, I take on something that's hard for me. In other words, so that I might accomplish something that's greater than me. I take on something that's difficult to my flesh, something that's painful, something that costs me something, in order that I might accomplish a higher purpose. Because there are certain things that unless you allow God to do those things, those doors are never going to open for you. But they're not going to look like 2 tickets to paradise with free plane fare and all the food you can eat. You know what I'm saying? When somebody goes out to be a missionary, it's not like they're going down to the buffet. It's not like they're riding in on a Cadillac or a limousine. Think about that. But that's the only way some people are going to be reached. I thought about that a lot this last couple of weeks. When I would go to bed at night, thinking about Tiffany being young, I was like, man, she's sleeping off somewhere. There's probably mosquitoes and snakes and all this stuff I don't like. And I thought about that when I go to bed. I was like, man, she's out there doing stuff. And I thought, man, that is the call to sharing the gospel, is that you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. So interesting enough, Paul is still battling it all the way to the end, taking advantage of every moment. He is learning to live in the now. Any questions? Any questions? You got 20 minutes right now. For those of y'all, some of y'all met Jason before. Jason Arnold's a friend of mine. He's been living in Bradenton, Florida for the last 3 years, almost 3 years. And his family is moving back this way. And so Jason's staying with me right now for a little while until he can get his family moved up here. But I just appreciate him so much. And I want you to get a chance to get to know him. He's a great man of God. He's been to some cool places too. How long ago? So was it 3 years you moved to Bahrain? 4 years. And so Jason's been to some places. And I'd like you to get a chance to meet him and hear some of the things that he's done. Let's pray. God, we love you. Thank you for your goodness to us. Thank you for your kind hand on us tonight, God. Thank you for a chance to get to come together and be here tonight. Lord, we look forward to what you have for us, God. Thank you for all that you've blessed us with tonight. Let us live for you in every way we can. Lord, be with us when you touch you tonight. In your name I pray. Amen. 2 things, guys. Next Wednesday night, we will not meet in here. John is having a youth service in Weaver Park, and I will be part of that. And so I don't think we're going to meet in here at all. He may need some help over there, and there may be some things that we can volunteer to help over there with. I'll throw him some help, especially since they got a new baby. Her baby was born Monday, 10 pounds, like 20-something ounces, huge baby. So, something like that. I don't know. And the baby's name is Clayton
Reeves.
Yeah. And then the other thing is Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, we're doing a thing called with Dad, where you can bring your children in the fellowship hall at 9 o'clock, and we'll have donuts together, and then we'll have kind of a corporate prayer over the fathers and their children. So be there for that. If your children are grown, that's cool too. Bring them. I'm going to let Dad bring me. It'll be a cool thing for us to get to. But, yeah. Can you put the announcements back on the screen too, Chris? So they can play through for a few minutes like we were saying. Yeah, what do you got?
Edge, from Rice area